Hello everyone. In this video I am going to discuss about law of demand. So first we will discuss what is demand. Demand is nothing but it is the desire to buy something. If this desire to buy a commodity is followed by ability to buy commodity and willingness to buy a product. So, if it is followed by ability to buy a product and willingness to buy a product, then we are calling it as a demand. So, now in this video, I am going to discuss about law of demand in detail. So now we will see what this law of demand states. So this law of demand states that when the prices of commodity rises, demand for such kind of commodity will decrease. When the prices of commodity decreases, demand for such commodity rises. So this law of demand explains the inverse relationship which exists between price and quantity demanded. As you can see that here, when price increases, the quantity demanded for a commodity has decreased. When price decreased, quantity demanded for that commodity, that is nothing but demand for that commodity, has risen. So here you can see that there is a inverse relationship which exists between prices and demand, which was brought out by this law of demand. So now there is one of the definition of law of demand which was given by Professor Alfred Marshall. So we will see that definition. So here Professor Alfred Marshall has said that other things remain equal. So what are these other things? For example, in law of demand, other things means consumer income or technologies and many other things. Okay, many other things are there, so which will remain equal, that is the things which affects the demand of the commodity apart from price. All those things remain equal or constant. If demand for a commodity is higher, the prices of such kind of commodity will be less, and the demand for commodity will diminishes with the rise in price. That is, when the price will be more, the demand will diminish or decrease, and when the price is less, you can see that there will be more demand. That was explained in law of demand. So now in next part we will see what is that assumption of law of demand. So there are several assumptions are there. So first assumption is that there will be no change in consumer income. If consumer income changes, then the demand for product changes. Therefore in law of demand we are going to assume that there is no changes in the consumer income. So another assumption is that there is no change in taste and preferences of the consumer. If taste and preferences of the consumer changes, then though the prices of commodity is lesser, so even if the prices of commodity is lesser, the consumer may not demand, the demand for such commodity may not be higher, because consumer may not demand such kind of products, because now the consumer prefer some other goods and not this goods, because his taste and preferences has been changed. So another assumption is that there is no change in fashion. If fashion, the commodity goes out of the fashion, though the prices of such kind of commodity is less, the consumer may not demand such kind of products. Another assumption is that there will be no change in commodity. That is, there is no innovations and inventions. If there is innovations and inventions in the market, if take an example that, so there was a product called Ye. So it was in the market. Now one company has brought a new product called B through inventions. Now though the prices of product A is less, the consumer may not demand such product, because now there is a new advanced product, that is B. So though the prices of B is high, the consumer demand this because it is an advanced version of A. So therefore people demand B. So there is no change in the population. If the population changes, that is if there is increase in the population, then the demand for commodity will be higher. That is aggregate demand for commodity will be higher. So distribution of income and wealth. So this law of demand is based on the assumption that there is no redistribution of income and wealth, and there is also no change in the prices of related goods. What is price of related goods? Related goods is nothing but subsidiary goods as well as complementary goods. So if there is any changes takes place in these commodities, then the demand then though prices of commodity is lesser, the consumer may not demand it. So the next assumption, next will be the demand schedule. What is demand schedule? It shows the functional relationship which exists between the prices and quantity demanded. Here you can see that when the prices of commodity is less, you can see that the quantity demanded is more. When prices starts to increase, you can see that quantity demanded has decreased because here prices has been increased. So this is about demand schedule. So we have a diagram related to law of demand. So demand and price relationship we can explain with the help of graph. Here you can see a demand curve. A demand curve is a downward sloping curve. Here you can see that when the prices of commodity is less, the quantity demanded has been more, and when the price is more, quantity demanded is less. So same thing has been brought out here with the help of diagram. So there are some of the exceptions of law of demand. What are those exceptions? First is that Giffen paradox. So this Giffen paradox is one of the exception of law of demand, which was observed by Sir Robert Giffen. He has said that in the consumer, if some products is like costlier, that is the prices of some product has been increased, then though the price is like costlier, the consumer will buy that product by cutting down their expenditure in some other goods. So he has given the examples of England. In England, the prices of bread has been increased. When the prices of bread has been increased, people has brought out that bread itself. They have cut down their expenditure in other commodities, and they have like brought same quantity of bread by spending more amount of money towards bread. So that was brought out by Robert Giffen. It is one of the exception of law of demand. So then Veblen effect. So Thorstein Veblen, he has given this exception of law of demand. So there are some of the products like diamond. It is really a costliest commodity. Okay. People buy diamond. Why they buy diamond? They will buy diamond because it is of high price. If the prices of such kind of product falls, then people may not demand such kind of products. So this was brought by Thorsten Veblen. He has said that if the some products people buy just because of the reason that the prices of such kind of product is high. If the prices of such kind of product has been reduced, then people may not demand such kind of products. Another exception of law of demand is ignorance. The consumer are ignorant about the prices. That is, sometimes consumer may not have a knowledge related to the market. In such circumstances, the consumer will do what? He will buy a product even at a higher price. So this is one of the exception of law of demand. And fear of shortage, it is also one of the exception. If, for example, if there is a war which is expected in the future, then people will start purchasing the commodity now, because they have a fear of shortage. That is, they expect that in the future the product will be at short, and they may not get such kind of products in the future. So this is one of the exception of law of demand. In this case, people never consider the price, they will purchase the product continuously. So one more thing is speculation. So speculation means in shares. Whenever in shares they used to like do speculative activities. Whenever like the people in the stock market, they will purchase the share only when they expect that the prices of that share increases. So now you can see that I will take an example that now the share prices will increase in the stock market. Now more people start to purchase the shares of that company with the expectation that in the future also the share price will increase. So this is one of the exception of law of demand. That is, speculation is one of the exception of law of demand. Snobbish feeling. Some people have a feeling that if the price is if the price is charged in the commodity is high, then it is of good quality. So people will purchase those products which is highly priced because of this mentality. So this is also one of the exception to law of demand. Change in fashion. If the commodity is out of fashion, people purchase that, people will not demand that commodities, though the prices of such kind of goods is less. So this is also one of the exception to law of demand. Normal demand curve that used to slope from left to right, but this exceptional that too it slopes downward, okay. But this exceptional demand curve that used to slope upward from left to right, you can see that in this diagram. P and Q, that will be the original price and quantity demanded, and with some price was increased and demand has been increased, and you can see that D1 is a exceptional demand curve which is sloping upward. So now the question arises, why the demand curve slopes downward, and the factor which affects the demand. So first thing will be income effect. So when prices of goods decreases, the purchasing power of the consumer increases. So now when price decreases, consumer purchasing power increases, because now the consumer are able to purchase more commodities at the same income level, okay. So in this case we are saying that about real income effects of the consumer and not the monetary income effect. So when prices increase or decreases, there will be changes that takes place in the real income of the consumer. So next one will be the substitution effect. Because of substitution effects, you can see a demand curve which is sloping downward. So if price of X commodity increases, demand for X commodity will decrease. As per law of demand, the same thing happens. But demand for another substitute, that is why that is going to increase. And because of that reason, the demand curve slopes downward. And another thing is price effect. When price rises, buyer buys less commodity, and because of that reason demand curve slopes downward. Next reason for the downward sloping of demand curve is law of diminishing marginal utility. When consumer consumes more and more units of a particular commodity, then he or she derives less utility. Now when there is less utility, the consumer may not be willing to pay more price for that commodity. So he is ready to pay less price for that commodity because he has derived maximum utility from that. Now his utility, marginal utility, is decreasing, and because of that reason he is ready to pay only lesser amount of price for such kind of goods. So number of consumer, if there is more consumer in the market, there will be high demand for goods in the market. If there is less consumer in the market, the overall demand, aggregate demand for that goods in the market will be lesser. So these are the reason for downward sloping of demand curve. Thank you for watching this video.